Welcome to this week's Pop Culture Therapy. I'm Advent Nebula.
And I am Cruellica Kain. Hi!
And this week is our recap of our past weekend adventures at Denver Pop Culture Con. Also, most of the summer anime lists have come out for what starts in July. And a big new show has premiered on Amazon that almost every nerd in existence has either watched this past weekend or is going to be watching within the next few days. Good Omens has started on Amazon.
Well, also Swamp Thing, we have to give credit where credit is due on that. That's actually starting on the WB's online streaming network, and I know there's a lot of fans out there who are eager to see that as well.
Yeah, with Doom Patrol wrapping up and Titan's first season has just ended.
So before we really get into the Comic Con, or Pop Culture Con, we did get to see Godzilla King of Monsters last week on Thursday, right before the con. We do have a spoiler talk that will be coming out.
Probably, if it isn't up already by the time this is up, probably right after.
Exactly. Between the two, one may supersede the other. But overall, both of us did enjoy the movie. Won't go into too much here because we do have that spoiler talk, as well as Kaiju did do his own quickie review. And rather than regurgitating the same things over and over again, we did watch it. We did enjoy it. Please check out those other videos if you want to learn more about our thoughts and opinions and stuff like that.
And on other news, we have a sponsor, Loot Crate. Use Kaiju no Kami as a discount code when you check out on lootcrate.com. You'll get, 10 or 20%?
10% off.
10% off your order.
Which still, 10% off your order when it comes to Loot Crate is definitely a hell of a deal. And soon, they're having some issues with their warehouse, but we will be starting to do some unboxing videos. Kaiju no Kami, myself, or Advent Nebula may be hosting those depending on the month and depending on what the hell it is.
It's really going to depend on what the box theme is on who's going to be the one that gets to do the unboxing video.
Or we might do a lottery and just throw somebody to the wolves and they'll have absolutely no fucking clue, excuse my French for doing it, but of what's in the box.
Just so it's a surprise on what we're getting.
Just think, it's always going to be like Brad Pitt in Seven. What's in the box?
Hopefully not like the little trick in there. And if you want a good comedy bit, Cracked has a video on Morgan Freeman unboxing a box from
with William Shatner.
Yes.
So, while we're going to be talking about the summer season, actually, let's talk about the convention first.
Yeah.
So, Denver Pop Culture Con, if you have not had a chance to actually look at our YouTube channel as of yet, which if you haven't, shame on you, please check it out. We have a lot of excellent content that all of us have participated in, and we're always coming up with new ideas. We had we technically had 3, because one was a 2-for-1, interviews with some of the guests there. The first one that we did, depending on order of when it's put on there, is we did Clifford Chapin and Colleen Klinkenbeard. Originally it was just going to be Colleen, but because both of them have worked together for so long and they've worked together simultaneously on multiple projects, they were able to do their interview together. And
on top of that, it's a co-interview, so it may be up already from some of the other media outlets that we did the interview with. So it might already be out there in the wild. We don't know yet. Haven't actually checked yet.
Mm-hmm.
But it was kind of interesting because the 2 outlets that we did it with really didn't know much about their background, where we had the experience on there, and Kaiju no Kami and I ended up showing them the questions, and none of the other 2 actually had any questions close to us because we were really focused on what they had done.
Well, exactly. So it was very interesting just to hear the narratives from the other outlets, but it was a lot of fun to learn a little bit more about both Clifford as well as Colleen. Colleen Klinkenbeard, if you're not familiar with what she's done anime, she is Monkey D. Luffy in One Piece. She is Akito in the current Fruits Basket dub.
She's Momo in My Hero Academia, and probably her breakout role would be Eclair in Kitty Grade, and then Risa Hawkeye in First Full Metal Alchemist.
And then for Clifford Chapin, he's not a brand new voice actor. I don't want to give him that disjustice or injustice. He is he's known for a lot of different roles. Two of the most notable right now would really be Kaba from Dragon Ball Super, as well as Bakugo, who is one of the main characters from My Hero Academia.
Yeah, and it's really interesting to find out when you watch the interview. I ended up modifying the question a little bit from what we had because I ended up finding out something about Clifford I did not know, so I ended up asking that question in relation to everything that we had preset. And I don't think either of them had that question before from just the initial reaction from Colleen.
And both of them were very kind, very gracious. We had a lot of fun. It was a little disappointing, I have to admit, that we didn't get to have the one-on-one interview that we were initially planning with just Colleen. But the fact that we got a chance to have both Colleen and Clifford during the interview, even though it was a micro press conference is what they're called, it was a lot of fun because we did get that 2-for-1 deal and had a chance to kind of meet, greet, introduce ourselves and all that fun stuff. The other guest interview that we got that was kind of a surprise was Tara Strong.
Which that interview was the very first thing that Kaiju uploaded to the YouTube page, so you can check that one out right now after you watch this. And I was sitting in there and it was really neat to see you guys get to interview her.
She was a lot of fun. It's hard when you meet somebody that you idolize. Maybe not as like your primary idol, because we idolize so many people, even though they're human beings at the end of the day. But it was interesting because she's kind and very gracious, but you could also tell at the same time that she was tired.
She seems like one of those that doesn't stop working at all.
No, I think even in her personal life, being a mom at the same time, it's almost like she's always juggling full-time jobs, be it working, be it being with family, doing everything across the board. So it was very impressive, and it was just nice. Her friend, which I'll have to look up her name again, because I know we talked about it. Her friend who actually was with her, because as one of the things that was hilarious, when we had set up the camera, everybody was initially sitting in places where they were visible on the camera. Tara, however, when she sat down, moved, and she then, because of how she moved, went off screen. And thankfully, we caught it very, very early, but it was like, oh my god. It felt so embarrassing at first, I think, for all of us.
Yeah, and it was the very first blooper we had had all weekend, too.
Yeah, it was like the first mess-up we had the entire weekend. We're like, great, it's with Tara Strong. You know, no pressure here. It's the person everyone knows within voice acting. She's basically the Frank Welker on the female spectrum of animated characters.
She really has become that.
And then, so, her friend is actually an actress.
Yeah, we looked up. I can't remember the name either, but she's most notable for spending from 2012 to 2017 on Days of Our Lives, we found out.
Yeah, so she's an accomplished actress. When I looked her up, and I was like, oh my god. So, not only did we have a blooper with Tara Strong, who was so gracious about it, but her friend is the one who fixed everything on the camera for her, so she could get everybody in the shot. I'm like, oh my god.
And if anybody knows how soap operas operate because of their daily production schedule, the actors are heavily involved with the production side too, so a little embarrassing there.
It was a little embarrassing, but at the same time, it was absolutely hilarious, and I'm like, you know what? It's cool. It's cool. It would happen to anyone. We're just gonna roll with it and move on. We did get to meet with a lot of authors, artists,
and then general cosplayers. What was the best cosplay you saw over the weekend?
I would say it's hard to say the best because there's so many awesome cosplayers.
But the one that stood out for you the most?
The one that stood out for me the most actually was there was this group, and we have it on the compilation video, of the X-Men cast, but in Victorian garb.
Yep. That was one of the first cosplays we saw.
It was, and it just, for me, it hit.
Now, Kaiju, of course, it was announced the numbers were roughly around 100,000 people. Didn't catch the best I saw, and I'm down because I ended up attending a lot of the NASA educational panels. I'm coming out. There's this guy, full Spawn outfit. He put wires around with the cape, so as he'd move around his legs and his arms, the cape would flow as he was moving, which I don't think I've ever seen a Spawn cosplayer actually figure out a way to get the cape to move until I saw this guy.
Yeah, I could see that. Another one, once again, it's so hard because there's so many. I would have to sit back and actually reflect, because I know a lot of the great cosplays that I saw usually were with Kaiju, so I'd actually have to look at the pictures again, because there were a lot of people, and so everywhere you went. I think another great one that he didn't get a chance to take a picture of, now that I'm thinking about it, is they had the entire Addams family family.
Oh yeah, that group. I did see that.
And then it was they also had a table that they were walking around with that was so cool, with a long tablecloth. And their one friend who wasn't part of the actual main Addams Family cast, because they had a hole in the table, anytime they were taking like this big picture, he'd be hidden under the table with his hand coming through like Thing, which I thought was brilliant, because I'm like, wait, you do lose Thing and you want it to be alive, because yes, you can bring just a Halloween decapitated hand, but it loses its
luster of it being able to be moved around.
Exactly, because even Lurch, being so simplistic as a giant creepy dude in a way, like Frankenstein, you have to have somebody who can do that gaunt appearance, so you need the same thing with a hand. But the convention, just like any convention, you're going to have the good with the bad. I do plan on having a blog out probably by next week. It's just, unfortunately, real life job is incredibly crazy this week, as it always is. Thank God I'm going to be getting an assistant soon. But nevertheless, I will have that blog out talking a little bit more about my specific experiences and experiences hearing from other attendees on what they did or did not like about the convention, because I think an honest review of it is always needed, because even if you're not in Denver, you want to get an idea of how any convention is, to give yourself a realistic expectation of your local convention, so you can go there and kind of almost in your own mind evaluate, what do I like best? Do I like the panels? Do I like the attendees? Do I like the exhibition or the merchants area? Do I want to meet the guests? Anything like that. So that's the reason why we try to do those blogs along with anything else.
Yeah, and this being its 6th year, you had a lot of different...
Oh, this is longer than 6 years.
I thought this was its 6th year.
No, the con's been around for more than 8 years.
But this was a year that you really heard a lot of mixed opinions. There was a lot of... It sounded like, to me, from what I talked around people, it was a mixed bag this year.
Exactly. And so, we'll go into that. I just want to kind of keep the flow of our podcast, just so you're not listening to us talk for an hour about what we think of a convention, because we do plan... this is not planned for the next couple of months, but one thing I want to do closer to maybe the end of the summer is a podcast... a podcast on pop culture and how conventions can help raise the awareness of pop culture or even harm it at the same time.
Yeah, there's one of our local conventions has been, and you guys that know us know where we're going with that one, which we'll leave for later.
Exactly. So before we get into summer anime, one thing I want to go over with everyone, just kind of expectations, and so you know where we're going for the next couple of months. For this month, we do plan on doing a few more themed episodes. While we'll still do our regular portion of the show as we are doing right now, but on a shortened scale, we plan on also doing a theme on what horror movies and other media what other mediums tell you about yourself, as well as we're going to be doing a therapy chair session later on this month for the Joestar family from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
We're basically just going to go with Jonathan, Joseph, Jotaro, because the bastards from part 4 and 5 can have their own episode just dedicated to the two of them.
I love how we're going to do the Joestar core family, except for Jolene, only because, and the reason we're not including Jolene is admittedly due to me. And that's because I haven't read enough about her as a Joestar that I don't feel it's fair for Advent Nebula to have to carry that entire character himself when, as you know from all of our podcasts, we try to share the narrative of when we talk. So I figure going with the 3 that we do know and then having the bastards, and I feel so terrible to say it, but it's true, on their own episode. And, you know, I really do feel bad calling them bastards, but they technically are.
Well...
And if you don't understand what I mean by bastard, because I know it's not used as critically in this era as it was back when I was a little kid.
But if you watch Game of Thrones, you know exactly what we mean.
Exactly. So just a quick explanation is a bastard is a child from an unmarried couple. More often than not, the bastard or the bastard child is the result of a parent who is, one of the parents are married.
Yeah, it's usually a result of an affair, and it's the mistress.
Yeah, and that's why Game of Thrones is like the perfect example, because thank God I never had to go through that Game of Thrones, because being myself a bastard, I can relate to Josuke and Giorno very, very well.
You relate to Giorno, where I relate to a certain villain that's... Some people go, why?
Yeah. So we'll be getting into that. One thing that... now thinking about, because we are going to be doing JoJo's, maybe later on this year, as an honor for all the music movies that are coming out, surprisingly, maybe we'll do a musical reference episode of all the eras of music that you can find in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
Which a lot of people have probably seen Hammond Beats compilation on YouTube of those.
Exactly, but I think we can do a different narrative that we know of the history of some of the bands versus just talking about the music.
Or just literally music clip, character, or stand.
Exactly, which is very often what it is. And I'm like, there are so many bands out there that get little recommendation just because it's so confusing.
And then also, there's fashion designers referenced in JoJo's that people don't pick up on.
Oh, gosh, yeah. They're so flamboyant. That's why I love them. So those are the kind of ideas that we have for the month of June for what we're planning. The other reason we are estimating 3 shows right now, with this show included, is mainly because we don't know will spark our fancy that we may just do off the cuff. We're trying new things, as we mention in all of our podcasts. Please let us know what you think, and if you ever do want to see us on camera, we can certainly try that. We're trying to build up our fan base, so if you want to promote us to your friends so they can start watching us as well, hey, take that plug and do with it what you can.
Exactly.
So I guess before we get into anime of the summer, I do want to make one recommendation for current anime that does exist right now in the spring. Obviously we have Fruits Basket.
Fairy Gone's been one I've been enjoying.
Another series that I've been enjoying, which kind of surprises me because I didn't intend to actually watch it because I, once again, misinterpreted the title of the show, is The Helpful Senko.
Yeah, it's about a guy who comes home, finds a fox girl in his apartment, at first thinks it's a prank, and then finds out that, no, this is his new living-in assistant.
And it's a fox spirit. And I'm not going to go too much in depth of the show, because I don't want to take that chance of spoiling it. But kind of like in the vein of Interviews with the Monster Girls, I thought this show was going to be completely different than
the wholesome show it
than
actually
the wholesome slice of life show it is. I need to get better on reading narratives, because I'm thinking, oh my god, this is going to be fan service, it's going to be perverted, it's going to be creepy. No, it's actually the most cute. It's one of the cutest shows of the season, which is admittedly, I have to say a rarity for spring season.
Yeah, spring season usually brings out the fan service shows, but there's not any fan service shows in spring.
So before we get into summer anime as well, one thing I want to highlight is how the seasons work. You have 4 seasons, which I think is pretty aware.
And they're go by cores, just like how the French call their 4 television, because French do like the English do, where they have set shows that only air during a certain time of the year.
Correct.
For a set number of episodes, where the British call them series, the French call it cores. Japan picked up as the French did, and they call these 4 cores.
But they don't call their series cores. They call their series still like seasons, things like that. And they don't run where the U.S. television market and the British television market are fairly similar. They have, for their seasons, they actually have what's called sweeps. So usually the sweeps are in September, October, and then once again in January, February. You have 2 seasons for sweeps, and usually during the summer months, they don't do that in at least the States. I believe...
Britain stopped doing except in Britain, the American TV shows that are bringing over tend to run during the less busy time of the year.
And I actually have to say a disservice at the same time. When we say American, we're not just talking about U.S. We're talking about U.S./Canada.
Yep, and
because
also
both follow the same structure.
Yep. Also, Brazil, bizarrely enough, follows our same structure as the U.S. and Canada as well.
So, with Japan, they don't, with their cores, they're a little bit different. Whereas summer technically starts in June, for summer anime, it actually is going to be going from July to
October.
Between September and October, depending on the length of the series.
Yeah. Most of the shows that run through summer in the last week of September, usually. Usually
last week of September, and then the first week of October is when you do fall, which usually runs until the end of the year, and then January to
March is
the winter season. I just wanted to reference that because a lot of times, even I sometimes will forget and like, oh yeah, we're coming close to the summer anime series, because you're thinking American structure of summer. And the reason why these cores also do this is because it almost, from what I've learned, and I could be wrong, and if anybody's from Japan, please do correct me, but it looks like it also runs a similar structure of the school schedule.
It similarly does, because the summer schedule runs from March to March. They start the year in March, end in March.
But I believe right around July is when they have their...
August is when their summer break is.
Oh, August. Okay, I knew it was around that time.
Yeah.
So, with that said, do you have any preferences of how you want to go over this? Sorry, we're kind of planning
really only 2 shows that have really piqued my interest for summer. Vinland Saga... I love the I love the manga. I love that it's finally getting an anime. And if you're not familiar with Vinland Saga, if you're a fan of Berserk, you're going to love this show. Or go and read the manga. It's basically Vikings told in a Berserk-style storytelling, but it doesn't have any of the real supernatural. It's bloody, it's violent, but at the same time, you're rooting for these characters.
So, for me, the hardest part about the summer season is where they kind of throw a lot of the leftover shows. They don't really do high focus shows during the summer.
With summer, if you're going to notice, the big deal shows that have been picked up are either being produced by Amazon or Netflix, which Amazon is co-funding Vinland Saga's production.
And also, that's the one thing I like about Funimation as well, is they try to pick up and do a simuldub of a lot of the shows as well. So a few of the shows that I'm really interested in are, one of them is called Given. And the reason why this really sparks my interest is it's a kind of a music/sports anime. Which, for me, being a music geek, I don't see the I see how they can connect because both are very strategic. You have to actually learn a lot of technique to accomplish both. But very rarely do you have something that actually mixes both together. Another one is Try Night, because I'm trying to give more sports animes love, only because after the popularity of Yuri on Ice, which I'm not anticipating every sports anime is ever going to live up to that expectation, because that would be unfair, but it kind of shows that you can have a good narrative even with a topic that may not be fully 100% of interest to everyone in the universe. And that's going to be that Try Night series, which is dealing with a lot of racing.
For my other one, everybody knows I'm a Type Moon fanboy. I've read these light novels. They're adapting the El Malloy series finally into a TV series, but they're adapting the fourth novel and doing an original story for the first half of the series. I think they're doing this for people that aren't familiar with the character. They're going with a story, the original story, the tie-in, and then one of the more accessible of the light novels for people who aren't familiar with the whole Type Moon universe, which I think is a smart move.
One series that's sparking my interest from everything that I've seen, because it's almost going to give me that like Black Clover feeling, even though Black Clover is still running, because it's one of those series that's going to continuously run, it's this Dr. Stone.
Yes, Dr. Stone, which I like the manga for. I just don't know how it's going to transition to anime form yet. And for folks that don't know, with its North American production, Crunchyroll is actually funding money of this, so they already have the license for it. So don't be surprised if when it gets an English dub, it's exclusive to Crunchyroll, and then they might do like they do with Shield Hero and licensed out the dub over to Funimation. Because surprisingly enough, Funimation, it turns out, is going to be still doing some of the production for the DVD and Blu-rays for Crunchyroll still.
Well, it makes sense, honestly. One series I think, Chrysalis Bloodborne, our one friend who mumbles and cannot sit still to save his life. I think I found the anime series that's going to be airing for him. It's called Dumbbell na Kilo Moteru.
Or how many kilos can I lift these dumbbells? Which is a fan service anime about lifting weights, which I'm just like, yeah, that's up his alley.
Yeah, the moment I saw it, I'm like, exercising. Yes. All I'm thinking of is it should have the girl who voiced the main character from Tokyo Ragnarok.
Oh, God.
Voicing her.
And I just found out the Netflix Saint Seiya anime is going to be premiering its first 12 episodes this summer.
So, right now, it's looking like this summer season's actually going to have a lot of interesting stuff, which I know we've already referenced this, is a rarity for summer seasons, because kind of like what America or the Americas believe is usually during the summer, more people are active, more people are going on vacation, more people are not going to be home watching television. Japan thinks the same thing from what I've seen over the years, because usually during the summer season you get the fan service series. You get the series that they have no faith in. But they also do use the summer season as a test market to see what series, like maybe with Dr. Stone or with so many other series, that maybe that Diamond in the Rough series that starts in the summer season, and then when if they decide to bring it back for a second season, they will put it in their more high volume one, like the fall and the spring. And
then you also see with this, the two series they know are going to be guaranteed hits. With the Saint Seiya on Netflix and Vinland Saga on Amazon, they know those are going to be guaranteed hits. They're going straight to streaming platforms.
Well, in Funimation, we should be getting announcements from them, I would say probably in the next week or two, in regards to what shows they will be picking up for simuldubs. Because between, right now, 3 big networks, not to discount Viz, not to discount Crunchyroll, or Sentai, because all 3 are formidable in their things, because Dr. Stone is a Viz property.
For their manga, but...
No, I think they're taking it for anime.
No, Crunchyroll has the exclusive license for the streaming in the U.S.
Okay.
Crunchyroll's actually partially funding it.
Yes, that's what you were talking about.
Yeah, if you actually look under the production, Crunchyroll is in the production committee.
So with that said, when you have companies like Funimation, Netflix, and Amazon picking up shows so quickly, it really is saying that, one, the Japanese market is becoming more and more aware of the American market. Even though it's already been prevalent, you always see it the more and more as you go along each subsequent year. Because if you look at past year's summer seasons, they were desperate.
Yeah.
They were tired. And they're actually airing a lot less shows this summer season than they normally do. Because there only looks like there's about 20. And I know when you may be thinking in your head, like I do at times too, only 20. That's actually a small number comparatively.
And of those 20, 4 of them are holdovers from the spring season because 2 of the shows are known that they're going to be running for 50 episodes.
Mm-hmm. So having a smaller number is actually nice because there are some seasons where you can get 30 to 40 shows, but you'll lack quality, you'll lack texture, you'll lack that element that keeps audiences there.
And I think also they're starting to finally, especially with more of the foreign market involvement, I think they're understanding that the animators are getting overworked to the point that the quality's gone to where people overseas are complaining.
Well, exactly. Especially when you have shows that are top tier, like Dragon Ball Super before, and I know it's going to be coming back, as well as One Piece. You have shows that are, even if One Piece is not as popular in the States as it is in Japan, it's still a top tier show that they need to ensure that the quality is there. And if that means reducing the content they have to play around with so they're not, as the old saying goes, robbing Peter to pay Paul, then you have to do so.
Which, going on that, people that are just watching the episodes of Super on Toonami right now are complaining about the frame rates. Well, guess what? You can stop. We watched those over a year ago. Those episodes' frame rate problems were the same when we were watching it when it was streaming.
And honestly, you're getting better quality than we did because they at least started fixing some of that crap before the television airplay got them.
Yeah, and still, that, I hate to say it, but that's better quality than it was originally streamed. I know some people that say, no, it's not. I'm like, go back and actually watch those episodes with the subtitles off and raw. You'll see the quality is not that too much difference between the two. I hate to say it.
But just know this one thing for anyone who is watching the television airings of any anime series, especially in this current modern era. When we got the Cowboy Bebops and the Outlaw Stars of the 90s, or the early 2000s even, same thing with Gundam Wing. We actually got the better versions because the series was already produced, it was already released on DVD or whatever format at that time. So we actually got the better copies when they were aired on television.
Yeah, one of the few exceptions was Evangelion. We actually got the TV rips, not their VHS and DVD rips.
But now, because anime is becoming this worldwide thing, we're getting the same quality of an episode as the Japanese do when it goes to the TV airplay because they're pumping them out quicker so you can watch them as soon as they're available to watch compared to any series before where you actually got the final copy. So know that if you were to buy the series on DVD, on Blu-ray, the Japanese are known for fixing things, as is clear if you watch the Yuri on Ice updated uncut versions on the Funimation network, as well as the Blu-rays. All the episode production errors are all cleaned up, all corrected for when they go to the final
And then another
products.
thing with, because Japan's become a little more conservative, they end up blurring out the fan service that's in shows and then putting it back in for their DVD and Blu-ray releases.
Yes, so any complaints that you have right now, yes, it sucks for television, As Evan said, we experienced it when it was first airing, so we understand the complaints, we understand the concerns. It's there, it's acknowledged, but
you're not going to get the good quality until the home video release because it's Toei. They're making sure that what aired on Japanese television is what the airing on TV here is, and that's their way of promoting, go, if you want the cleaned up version, you gotta buy the home video release.
Exactly. So, before we talk your ear off any longer, this is what we have for this week. It's just more of a regular show recapping what has been, what's coming up for anime. During the next episode, yes, we do have the theme, but by that time, we'll also be able to, if not having seen it already, we'll be able to talk a little bit more about some of the horror movies that are coming out at the same time that we can kind of funnel into our next podcast.
Exactly, because you and Kaiju have plans to go see Brightburn.
Brightburn, as well as I do want to see Child's Play. As much as I'm a little afraid about it, I'm eager to see it.
Yep. Alrighty, until our next episode, which has the theme of what horror movies or any kind of horror stories can tell you about yourself. See you later.